Shalom Israel, y'all Bashim Yashab Barakathon to the brothers, y'all Shamar Latham Bashim Yashab to the sisters. Get ready for the Sabbath service. Majum. Means rise in English. Let's get this incense going. Anybody that don't know, we use the frankincense and myrrh. Captain Tazariak sells the actual sticks. Otherwise, you can get the rock form at most stores, I believe. Otherwise, I think if you go to Addictive Chaos, I think they sell it there too. Don't quote me on that. All right, gonna get into these prayers. Yakodam, so we turn to face the east. You say the Lord's Prayer in Hebrew. You can find it in Matthew chapter 6, verses 8 through 13. Abanawu, Shabbat Shemayim, Kodash, Ayah, Shamkat, Yahweh, Malakwika, Taba'a, Batazaka, Ayah, Aisha, Barataza, Kawa, Ayah, Bashamayim, Latandanaw, Lakam, Ko, Yawam, Wasalakanaw, Kabawaknaw, Kasalaknaw, Kabawakinaw, Wala'a, Tabianaw, Pansawan, Abal, Aushanaw, Mayan, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Amalakwa, Wa'al, Watapa Rak, La'ulamyam, Yaman. In English, our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Yahweh, thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. So be it. Amen. Psalms 121 in the Hebrew. Asha'at, Ayanye, Al-Haharim, Ma'ayan, Yaba'at, Azari, Ma'ayin, Yahweh, Aisha, Shemayim, Wa'aratazat, Al-Yatan, Lamawat, Wagalka, Al-Yanawam, Shemarka, Hana, La'at, Yanawam, Wala'at, Yayashan, Shawamar, Yashab, Yahweh, Shemarka, Yahweh, Tazalka, Al-Yad, Yamyanka, Yawamam, Hashemach, La'ah, Yakaka, Wa'arak, Balayala, Yahweh, Yashemarka, Makorai, Yashemar, Atnapashka, Yahweh, Yashemar, Tazaatka, Wabua'aka, Ma'ita, Wa'ai, Aulam. In English, I will lift up mine eyes into the hills, from whence cometh my help. My help cometh from the Lord, which made heaven and earth. And when I suffer thy foot to be moved, he that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is thy keeper. The Lord is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. The Lord shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in, from this time forth and even forevermore. Prayer for the power, the cock and evil. Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Baruch Shai, the Thunmanawa, the cock, Al Rafa'ah, call Makalat, or call Matawat, the cock, Latahar, Hamatazari, the cock, Lahakim, Hamatim, the cock, Al Rafawat, Atma'ala, Lagarsa, by Shem Yahushai, the Wad Aman. In English, Yahweh, in the name of Yahushai, please give us the power to heal all manner of sickness and all manner of disease, the power to cleanse the lepers, the power to raise the dead, the power against unclean spirits, to cast them out. In the name of Yahushai, thank you, so be it. Further bless Israel in the Hebrew. Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, Barak Nanahu, Wayat Shala, Wahabayat, Sapari, Barak, Rapa'ah, Magan, Hagan. Now, at this time, we can say the name of a loved one once. Everyone repeats that name once. If you're following us on social media, you can type in the name of a loved one. We'll send the prayers up with you. Let's get on the phone to check Facebook just in case. Israelite School, UPK. All the brothers going through Hebrew Academy. UPK Minnesota, UPK Chicago, UPK Milwaukee, UPK Reds, Benjamin, Maracapá, Annalie, the McIntosh family, Raphael, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, all the generals, all the captains, all the officers, the troopers, the students, the brothers and the sisters, and the children. Hashem Yahushai, the Wad Aman. In English, what we just said was, Lord, in the name of Yahushai, bless us and Israel and the school. Bless, heal, shield, protect our loved ones. In the name of Yahushai, thank you, so be it. Psalms 83 in the Hebrew. Alaim, all the Miyalaka, all Tafarach, all Tashquak, all Kayahna, Owabika, Yama Yawan, Braash, Alamaka, Yaruyamwa, Sawada, Wayata, Bahtazwa, Altazwapanika, Amarwa, Lakawa, Awanakakidan, Magalia, Wala'a, Yazakar, Shamya Shala, Awad, Kayat, Naitazwa, Laba, Yakadwa, Aryaka, Bayat, Yakaratwa, Ahalia, Adawam, Waya Shemai Alayam, Mawaba, Wahagardi, Gabal, Wahamwan, Wahamalak, Balashat, Amishabi, Tazawar, Gamashawar, Nalawa, Imam, Hayawa, Zarawat, Labani Lawat, Salat, Aisha Laham, Kamadian, Kasayat Sara'at, Gayabian, Bankhor, Wayashwan, Nashamadwa, Bayanda Ari, Haywa, Daman, Ladama, Saitama, Narayamawa, Karab, Wakazaba, Wakazabak, Wakazalmanai, Konasai Kam, Ashar, Slaki, Ashar, Amarwa, Nairasha, Lanawat, Nawat, Alaim, Alaya, Shatamu, Kagobla, Kakwash, Lapanya Rauka, Kaash, the Bible Yaira, Wakalahaba, Talahat, Harya, Khan, Daradama, Basaraka, Wabasa Wapaka, Tablaam, Mala'a, Panyaha, Kualawan, Wayabakwashwa, Shamkat, Yahawa, Yabashwa, Waya Bahawa, Aya Aya, Waya Khaparwa, Waya Abadwa, Waya Daibwa, Kaya Ata, Shamkat, Yahawa, Labaka, Al Yawan, Al Kal Harakazat. In English, keep not thou silence, O God, O not thy peace. And be not still, O God, for lo, thy enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, Come, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee, the tabernacles of Edom, and the Ishmaelites, of Moab, and the Hagarians, Gabal, and Ammon, and Amalek, the Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre. Assyrians also joined with them. They have hope in the children of Lot. Salah. Do unto them as unto the Midianites, as to Sisera, as to Jabin, at the brook of Kison, which perished at Endor. They became as dung for the earth. Make their nobles like Oreb, and like Zeeb, yea, all the princes as Zabah and as Elamun, who said, Let us take to ourselves the houses of God in possession. O my God, make them like a wheel, as the stubble before the wind, as the fire burneth the wood, and as the flame setteth the mountains on fire. So persecute them with thy tempest, and make them afraid with thy storm. And fill their faces with shame, that they may seek thy name, O Lord. Let them be confounded and troubled forever. Yea, let them be put to shame and perish, that men may know that thou, whose name alone is Yahweh, art the most high over all the earth. Blessed are you, Yahweh, King of heaven and earth, and all things living. Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, listen to us now, right now. Send evils and curses, and punishment and destruction to the heathen that speak against us, thy prophets, the teachers, the princes, the priests, the Israelite brothers, and the school. Send evils and curses, and punishment and destruction to the heathen, and shake loose the treasure of the rich of Israel that refuse to give to the school, and force their riches to enter into thy sanctuary. Send evils and curses, punishment and destruction to the Edomites, and the nations, and their drug dealers, the court system, and the prison system, Planned Parenthood, all the governments of our enemies, Amalek synagogues and armies, Roman Catholic Church, the Pope, Islam, Christianity, Egyptology, militia, Ku Klux Klan, Aryan Nation, skinheads, Pachacomatizing, the gay movement, the lesbian movement, spies, workers of witchcraft, NASA space programs, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Wall Street, open up the internet and the airways, cable access chambers and the radio chambers. Convict the spirit of any of thy people that seek to stop us and bring swift destruction to all the heathen that stand in the way or try to stop us from broadcasting your words throughout the planet Earth. Let loose all the plagues. Cause them to go to and fro through the earth and consume them. Let the plague shake the house of the thief and the murderer. Let Yahweh Shai, Michael and Gabriel come down with the flying saucers and punish all the heathens that come up against us as we speak thy word. Cause it to be known by all that is the angels that have done it. Cause it to be spread through the media throughout the whole world. Cause them to shake at thy coming. In the name of Yahweh Shai. Thank you always. So be it. So just like it, maybe done that part backwards. How about Shim Yao Shabrak Thumb? La Yashala. Shabia, which means be seated. Okay, shalom to the system, Rakapat. Yao Shamal Atam Bashim Yao Shah. Checking in from Milwaukee. With
mighty brother Rapayal at, not too far from Jamesville, where a newly ranked up officer of 500 to Baca Knox. Shout out, give it up for that brother too. Been a lot of worthy rank raises going on lately. A lot of 5,000 been popping up all over the East Coast, down south, in the Midwest. It's good to see all over the West Coast. So congratulations to all them brothers too. All the sisters that got a name recently. Maccabi just named his wife, and it's a beautiful thing watching the growth of the nation. So again, as every Saturday continues, Brother ISUPK, established in 1969, 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York. We are led by Commander Junior. We're coming at you live from the Twin Cities, Minnesota School with today's Sabbath service. So I'm going to just close that down. All right. So as always, we're going to read from the Tanakh in the Hebrew, and then get that translated into the English in the King James. I prefer using the 1611 if you don't mind the Roman numerals and the Old English delivery. And to get more familiar with the Lashon Kodash, the ancient Hebrew language, every Friday we got Lashon Kodash classes. So out of 5,000, Maccabi teaches it up here. You got brothers in every zone. Every Friday, different times. So I mean, you could spend the day damn near learning about the Hebrew language. So we left off last week with Ezekiel chapter 18. I believe the last verse was 11. We'll recap that a little bit in English, but we're going to go from chapter 18, verse 12 to 18. So we're going to start off in the Hebrew. There we go. And yeah, Wa'abya Yawan, Hauna, Gazalawat, it's like a Gazalawat, Gazal, Kabal, La'a, Yasiyab, Wa'ala, Hagala Walayam, Nasha, it's like a Nasha'a, Ayanyawa, it's no press. Tawaiba, Aisha, verse 13. Banashak, Nathan, Watarabiat, Laquach, Wachia, La'a, Yachaya, Ata, Ka, Hatawaibwa, Hala, Aisha, Mawat, Yamawat, Damiyah, Bawa, Yahaya, verse 14. Wana, Hawaliyah, Ban, Wayara'a, At, Ka, Khata'at, About Salat, Abiyah, Asar, Aisha, Wayara'a, Wala'a, Yaisha, Kahan, verse 15. Al, Haharim, La'a, Akal, Wayanya, La'a, Nasa'a, Allah, Galawalya, Bayat, Yasha'ala, At, Ashat, Ra'ai Salat, Ra'ai Hawa, La'a, Tama'a, verse 16. Wayash, La'a, Hawana, Khabal, La'a, Khabal, Gazala, La'a, Gazala, Lakma, Larai, Nathan, Wa'awam, Kasa'ab, God, verse 17. Ma'anya, Ashiyab, Yadwa, Nashak, Watarabiyat, La'a, Laquah, Mashabatya, Aisha, Bakakwaratya, Bakakwawatya, Salat, Halak, Hawa'a, La'a, Yamawat, by one, Abiyah, Khaya, Yakhaya, verse 18. Abiyah, Abiwa, Kaya, Aishak, Aishak, says it twice. Gazal, Gazal, twice as well. Atha, Wasar, La'a, Tawab, Aisha, Bathwak, Bathwak, Amwa, Amwa, Wahanamata, by Wana. That's the end of verse 18 in the Hebrew. Just clap it up for myself. If anybody else, at home, social media wants to join in. Hey, shalom to the sister, Tashamawa, Bat Yashakar, Yahoo Samal, Atabashim Yahweh, checking in from South Dakota. Good to see everybody in class. Shine Christ, let's get it. So now, if you ever wanted to follow along in the Hebrew, recommend downloading the Blue Letter Bible app. You can follow along, and it'll give you the different. Actually, let me see if I can look it up real quick. Here we go. Comes in handy. You can choose which version that you want to read. Again, we always go with the King James version, not the New King James. There is a difference in between how they translate and break down. And so I'm gonna just lower this a little bit. There we go. And I know it's gonna come out backwards, but let me know if you can kind of see. So the Blue Letter Bible. You type in whatever scripture you want in there. For example, we'll go to where we are today. Typing in Ezekiel 18, searching. So pop up something like this. Those buttons next to it, the tool buttons, you click on one of them tools. And it'll give it to you in the Assyrian Hebrew script. It'll give you the concordance, the definitions, the root word. You can always use this to study along. So we are in Ezekiel chapter 18, starting at verse 12. Do kind of a bit of a recap. So at the beginning of 18, they kind of get the narrative on who this is going to be talking to and about. Starts off 18:1, and the word of Yahweh came unto me again, saying, so again, this is to Ezekiel, another vision. What mean ye that ye use this proverb concerning the land of Israel, saying, the fathers have eaten sour grapes, and the children's teeth are set on edge. So again, he's speaking to Israel, speaking about Israel, about the people of Israel, what's going on in the land of Israel. Not about what's going on in the land of Ammon, not in the land of Moab, not in the land of Ishmael, of the Hagarians, Gabal, and this, that, and the third, but of Israel as always. And of course, if anybody got any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to type it in the chat, whether you're on Facebook, follow us on YouTube. But it was going over characteristics of wicked men. And if you're following with us from the past couple chapters, the influences that we had from different captivities under different nations, and how this kind of trickled down on us, and we ended up acting the same as them. So we ended off at 11. All right, so we're gonna start back up from a couple verses. We're gonna start at verse 10, just again to give a context of what we're about to read. If he beget a son that is a robber, a shedder of blood, and that doeth the like to any one of these things, and that doeth not any of those duties, but even hath eaten upon the mountains and defiled his neighbor's wife. So again, we're talking about, what's what's going to happen to these people if they follow in those wicked ways? If if they are robbers, shed of blood, and if they're not doing their duties, which is talking about keeping the laws, statutes, commandments, charity, what was one of the other ones? Covering the naked with your garment, giving your bread to the hungry. Those are some of the duties of us as a nation of people. There are certain laws that are in governance of us as a nation on a larger scale. For example, if you had a farm, if you had a vineyard or something, you're supposed to leave the corners, the edges, like if this is your plot of land, and your house is over here, the farthest edge is over here, or whatever, like even on the sides, you ain't supposed to harvest any of these borders. So any traveler that might be walking by, that they can pick some up. If it's dropped on the ground, I mean, no sweat. Like you're supposed to even leave that for the people that might be hungry. But that's on like a larger scale. You know what I'm saying? One thing that a lot of us don't, have is, our own land to be able to do things like that. So, I mean, if you got your own little garden, it's not really talking about that. If you're just growing enough food just for you and your family, that's kind of a different consideration. But, these are some of the duties of us as Israelites. How we're supposed to treat each other and how we're supposed to treat everybody else. We are going to come into rulership. When the Most High sent Yahweh shot back in those 200 million black angels in those chariots, we are going to take over the world. But we're not tyrants. This is going to be a dictatorship under Yahweh shot. But we're not wicked men. We're not going to treat people the way our oppressors treated us. Every other nation is going to serve the Most High. It's going to serve Israel. It's going to rebuild our kingdom. But again, we're not cruel. We're not to be cruel. We're not to abhor. Which is treat people with hatred. There's an action that comes with that. These are some of the duties of Israel, of us as a people, and that they've stripped from us, man. I mean, like they in a lot of the ways they have taken our humanity from us, which is why you see us running around here acting off. This is not our nature. This is not how we're supposed to be. This is not how we were raised from these scriptures, from these records. And we are bringing that back. We're bringing that back home to the people in the UPK. And you're only going to find that truth here. ISUPK is home of the truth defenders of the faith. Go to isupk.com and find a school that's nearest you. That might mean you have to take the classes online for a time until you get raised up as an officer in this truth. This is to the brothers, as you get raised up as an officer, so you can build your cities, you can build up your state. These are the duties. These are the duties of the men. And for the women and children too to follow suit. So again, verse 10. Now this is talking about the brother who has a child. I know it's going to say son here, but it does also reflect on if you had a daughter, but it is more so addressing the males. If he beget a son that is a robber, shedder of blood, and that done the like to any of these things. So, I mean, if you breaking the law, if you're an adulterer, you're a fornicator, you're a murderer, and that doeth not any of those duties, some things that we had mentioned earlier about charity, but even had eaten upon the mountains and defiled his neighbor's wife. So, rubbing elbows with the politicians and celebrities and charlatans and sellouts and, all them rich people that made $1 off our suffering. And defiled your neighbor's wife, again, committing adultery. And it couldn't even be committing rape. Both of them are death penalty offenses in the nation of Israel too. Verse 12. And this is kind of continuing on, like if your son is doing this type of thing. Verse 12, hath oppressed the poor and needy, hath spoiled by violence, hath not restored the pledge, and hath lifted up his eyes to the idols, hath committed abomination. So now, hath oppressed the poor and needy. If you got a brother or sister out there that's homeless, that's living on the streets in one of them tent cities, like we've got a couple of them. We got a number of them up here in Minneapolis. You got a bunch in Milwaukee. You got them all over Chicago. Those are the main cities that I'm familiar with, that I've physically seen it in. So I can only imagine what the rest of the ghettos, the barrios, the reservations are looking like right now. You know, if that's just this city that you really don't hear a whole lot about in the news, but things have been picking up quite a bit. The poverty, the drugs, the gang violence, the police brutality, it's becoming more widespread, which we do take as, and it's going to sound messed up, but we do take it as a positive sign that this nation is falling. It's coming loose at the seams, and our people will be redeemed. But you gotta hold on, man. You can't give in to these temptations. You can't be a shedder of blood, man. You can't be a robber, even though we're going through oppression. You can't oppress the poor and the needy. You can't spoil people by violence. I mean, you got some people out there that are just violent for no damn reason. I remember a couple weeks ago, me and Maccabi was talking about this kind of during class, how like it used to be so quick. Like when I was back in the world, just like you be walking down the street, you look up, you catch eyes with somebody, and right there on the spot, it's a fight. That fight could turn into somebody dying, getting murdered, somebody getting paralyzed, crippled. I mean, beaten bad, and it happened so quick, over no actual offense. Nobody disrespected the next man except for just looking at him, catching their eyes, and not looking away, because nobody wants to be, you know, the punk. So that turns violent quick, and you got some people out there that are just bullies. I remember this one young brother in Milwaukee. When I first seen him, like I'd seen him around the neighborhood, right on the south side, where you got a lot of Hispanics. But you used to see him in the neighborhood, and it almost seemed like almost weekly. I mean, like monthly, you could see his fall and his decline. You know, when I first saw him, you know, he was dressed nice, clean clothes, you know, relatively new clothes. It didn't look like, you know, they were worn down and tattered, and like he just got them, you know, out of a dumpster, nothing like that. Kept himself groomed. He was one of them clean shaven dudes, but you know, he kept himself presentable. And then just bit by bit, you would see him kind of wasting away. Now you might see him, you know, 2-3 days with the same clothes on. You know, look like he ain't washed up in, you know, a couple weeks. Hair it's like hair starting to, you know, get a little matty and disheveled. I think that's the word. You can see, you know, visible dirt on his skin and on his clothes. Then again, bit by bit, every week now, like you start seeing it get worse and worse. You can see how the drugs are taking effect on him. I remember there was this one chunk of time, I think it was within the same month, where you know, I saw him in passing, and he had some bumps on his face, around his mouth. It started off just a couple of them, you know what I'm saying? I just figured acne. You know, when I was a kid going through that, horrible acne. Could have been that. He was a relatively young brother. But then I saw him like another week or two after that, and he had a lot of bumps. Like you could tell it was herpes. You know, this young man, this young brother was sitting there blowing rod for drugs or for a place to stay. You could tell he was doing some type of sexual acts for whatever he was getting out of. I don't know what kind of drugs he was doing, where he was sleeping, but he was getting turned out. And then you could see it in his face too, how the drugs just had him warped, you know, cheeks all sunken in, eyes all sunken in and dark. And I remember I was walking out, and I always regret this, you know, not doing nothing. You know, that's another part of our people too that's at fault. You know, we see something going wrong with our people, and we do nothing about it. We say nothing about it. We keep it walking. You know what I'm saying? It's, you know, we've been taught to just like mind our own business. I remember walking down the street that night. I think I was heading to the store or something down the street, and there was 2 other vatos. Like the brother must have asked him for money or something like that, and they just started beating him. They just started beating on him. Like there was real no evidence of provocation on that young man's part that would have given those men a plausible reason to beat up on him like that. I kept walking. You know, wasn't none of my business. I don't know what all happened. I just kept it moving. But that's what we're talking about. You know, had oppressed the poor and needy, had spoiled by violence. And that also goes into had not restored the pleasure. And I'm guilty of that too, protecting our people. And, you know, restoring that pledge, you know, what we got, one of the tenets that we had always had was brotherhood. And it takes a nation such a long way. And you see this with the other nations and how they interact with each other. They prefer each other. They back each other up. And we stopped. It's like we just stopped. We stopped caring about one another. We stopped having compassion on one another, even though we're seeing each other poor and needy and unprotected. So we think that we can spoil them by violence. We're breaking that pledge. We're not restoring that pledge. You know, the pledge that we made to the Most High too, about keeping His laws. Brotherhood is one of His laws. Sisterhood is one of His laws. And it's something that we've ignored and thrown away from. And hath lifted up his eyes to the idols, hath committed abomination. Thanksgiving and Christmas and Halloween and New Year's and Valentine's. The you know, white Jesus, you know, that's your idol. That cross, that Kaaba stone, that's your idols. Your celebrities and politicians, they become your idols too. You know, anybody that's rich and famous, you know, becomes an idol to a lot of people who don't got that money or who ain't got that prestige and fame. And a lot of that comes from, you know, lack of self-esteem as a people. We are the best thing on the face of the earth. The most influential, the most inspiring, the most sought after. Our culture is the richest. Our food is the best. Our women the most beautiful. Our men the strongest. The most innovative, the most creative. The best musicians, the best, you know, singers and dancers. The best artists. The best craftsmen. But we give our love to these idols and we commit abominations. Thanksgiving and Christmas, you know, it's one thing to just say, you know, happy Halloween or happy Thanksgiving and things like that to somebody, Merry Christmas. But you got people again that'll go out there, spend all that money on the tree, decorating it, even though in Jeremiah it goes over the customs of that Christmas tree. And you know, it identifies what it was used for. That's the only time you're ever going to see any reference to the practices and traditions of Christmas in the Bible, even though they say that it's, you know, Christ Mass, it's about you know, Jesus' birthday. You ask any Christian, any Catholic, anybody that celebrates Christmas, any preacher, any pastor, where is Christmas in the Bible? Where is it in the Bible? They will never be able to show you. And they would never think to look at Jeremiah. You know, to consider what's going on in that book and how that is breaking down, you know, step by step what they're doing with that Christmas tree. You know, these are the abominations that we commit, and we give it up to idol worship. Verse 13, hath given forth upon usury and hath taken increase. Now again, one of our laws is not to lend upon usury. So when it's talking about usury, in this case, it's talking about how we would interact with each other, you know, from Israelite to an Israelite. We ain't supposed to commit usury. To whoever that is in the chat, Clinton, you gonna get denied and blocked. We do not support Hamitic needs. Block this one. You ain't the prince of Nigeria. Your father was not a deposed king. So you can be dismissed. No idea. Now you good. Hey, you got a PayPal account, you got an email, but you need food for your kids. No hope. Now, if this was a brother, you know, if he came to the school, this would be a different story. We would have that compassion for him. These people, they got a whole nation, they got a whole country, they got the whole United Nations and African Union to back them up and support them. Like, you better go start asking his people for help. We got our people to worry about over here. But again, usury. We are not to lend upon usury to another Israelite. If you were to borrow, $500 from a brother or sister, you only pay them back $500. That's all that they can, demand of you. Like, those are the terms. After 7 years, if you are unable to pay that back, that debt is supposed to be forgiven. Don't be the brother or sister that's going to wait 7 years just to get that defaulted. Don't be that brother or sister, man. You know what I'm saying? Restore that pledge. You made a deal with that brother or sister, whoever gave you that money, restore back in full. And for the lender, you can't say, listen, it's been however many weeks or months. You said you was gonna hit me back, last week. It's been a month since then. Now you owe me $550. Now you owe me $600. You can't do that. You can't put on a tax or levy on it. It's just that flat rate $500. So another example again, what they're doing, hath given forth upon usury and hath taken increase. Shall he then live? He shall not live. He hath done all these abominations. He shall surely die. His blood shall be upon him. This is a shalom to the sister. Kawa Yasha'ala, Yao Shemala Atan Bashim Yahusha. Property Kanaga Bar. Shout out to that brother. Yao Bashim Yahusha. Barakatan. And people think they count as such a small thing. It's just, Christmas is for the kids. Birthdays is for the kids. I've had history with this relative before. Every time I borrow money, he never pays me back on time. It always comes up short. So I had to tax him. No, making excuses like that too. It's a dangerous thing, and you playing around with something that you shouldn't be messing around with. And it says, he hath done all these abominations. He shall surely die. His blood shall be upon him. And that can come in a number of different forms. Listen, if you oppressing the poor and the needy, if you breaking somebody, that's already going through something, you break them down even worse, you might end up with a knife in your back, man. Someone might try to rob you, take your life in the process. And that's because you've been acting abominable to that brother or sister, man. If you spoiled by violence. Shout out to Adon Maccabi, Yabashim Yabshah Barakatah. Thank you for joining us, sir. And of course, at any time, if you have any comments, any scriptures, precepts you want to jump in about Kushat, if you spoiling the people by violence, and these some of these laws are universal too. The usury is specific to Israel. That is an exclusive law to Israel. You can lend upon usury to other nations, but you are not supposed to spoil by violence to anybody, to nobody. And as the scriptures say, let's actually try to pull some of these precepts too. Salak, give me 1 second. Salak, yeah. Proverbs. That's a different verse. There we go. Proverbs chapter 29 and 2. This is, we are in the midst of this right now too, of this changing over of authority. Proverbs chapter 29 verse 2 says, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. There's a code of conduct on how Israel is supposed to treat everybody on the face of the earth. We're supposed to have that moral integrity to rule righteously. That's why when we are in authority, listen, yes, they are going through service, hand and foot. I keep on saying my daughter needs a life-size stable for her My Little Pony collection. Somebody's building that joint, and you're going to build it to all the specifications that I require. The dumbest things. that may need to be done. You're gonna do it. Now, I'm not gonna whip you like a slave like y'all did us. I mean, that's me personally, man. Unless you do something foul, it's a little bit different. But again, we are not tyrants. Um, we ain't these wicked bastards that have been oppressing us like this. But when we are in authority, when the righteous are in authority, when Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shah, comes back into authority, the world is gonna rejoice because we are gonna put a stop to hunger and pollution and homelessness, poverty. There ain't gonna be no more sex trafficking rings, man. Ain't gonna be no more detention centers for children, separating them from their families, declaring their parents illegal immigrants when these bastards are the only illegal immigrants on earth, everywhere. But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. These are the examples that we've been living by wicked people. And as a result, the world mourneth, man. Nobody wants these people, these devils, to be in charge. Even the drama that's going on between Russia and Ukraine, those are Edomite problems, man. And once they bang all that out, and Europe and America step in and add their 2 cents, that's just going to be a European and Russian problem, and a American and European and Russian problem. All these different Edomite nations and tribes, so to speak, fighting against each other. Let them have it. Let them go, man. You know what I'm saying? Don't worry about Ukraine. They'll be all right. They got armies that are gonna back them up. That are gonna go to war for them. They got the United Nations they can fall back on, man. They'll be okay. Let them deal with each other, and then the Lord will smash everything when the time comes. And He's gonna puff them up just to collapse their empire the same way that He did Pharaoh in Egypt. Same way He did, with Nimrod in Babylon. So for us, it's nothing new. The scriptures prophesy this. So buckle your seatbelts, get ready for this change. It's when it comes, it's gonna happen fast. A lot of people ain't gonna be prepared for it. A lot of people are still gonna try to, hold hands across America. But these are some of the abominations that will get you killed on this earth. He hath done all these abominations. He shall surely die. His blood shall be upon him. That's gonna be one of those listen, I told you so moments. The scripture's been telling us what to do, what not to do. You want to play games with the Most High, He will, your blood will be upon you, and it's gonna be like, listen, told you so. So like the Lord be with you and your family, but you should have listened. You should have listened to Commander General Yan when he said all camps are ordered to come together. You should have listened to your region leader. If you're in the Midwest, you should listen to Captain Malqua. You should listen to Captain Kapas, Captain Laban, Captain DeGogabar. You know what I'm saying? Listen to these brothers. Listen to these officers. We have your best interest in heart, in mind. That's why we do this day in and day out, all over the earth, all over YouTube and Twitter and Instagram and TikTok. You know what I'm saying? So definitely like, share, subscribe to the content. Tag somebody in it, and let's get this going. Let's get this spreading all through the earth. So there ain't nobody got to suffer like this. It's a damn shame to see what we've become as a people when we are the best on the face of the earth. We are the salt of the earth, committing these abominations, ending up in a ditch, ending up in the morgue, in the hospital with a toe tag. Ain't nobody there to identify the body. You know what I'm saying? Living under bridges, tent cities, prisons, filling up the cell blocks. You got. Well, I mean, I can only speak for what I've seen in Milwaukee, but a cell that's only supposed to hold 2 people, you got 3 of them in there, 1 person on the boat on the floor. This ain't the life for us. Keeping after the customs and the practices and the influence of these devils is what's going to keep us getting us there. It's what's going to have us committing abominations and not restoring that pledge. Let's keep it going. Verse 14. Now, lo, if he beget a son that seeth all his father's sins, which he hath done, and considereth, and doth not such like. So this is kind of the other side of the coin, flipping it over. If you're watching your father, growing up with him and seeing all the wicked, horrible, nasty things that he's done, whether drugs, whoremongering, being an alcoholic, being uh, uh, violent in the household to your mother, domestic abuse or whatnot, your siblings. But you consider it, and you're not learning those ways. You identify that it's wrong and that it's not for you. You ain't supposed to walk down that path, even though that's your father. For the most part, we try to emulate our fathers. I remember growing up not knowing who and what my father really had done, but trying to walk in his footsteps with some imagined idea on who and what he was. Got me in a lot of trouble. And I was doing some of these abominations in the world. A lot of us were back in the world, man. Trying to be something that we ain't meant to be. We ain't meant to do. But if you see this and you consider it and doth not such like, not doing that same thing, not acting like him. Verse 15, that hath not eaten upon the mountains. You didn't sell out. You didn't take that little bribe money, or what I'm saying. You didn't become a Mason, and you're part of the Illuminati and secret occults and whatnot, or a Christian or a Catholic. A lot of those celebrities and actors and musicians, you got to go through sodomy in order to be accepted, in order to be rich and prosperous. Otherwise, they're just going to put you on the lock and key and shut your music down. They're going to own all the rights to all the work that you've done, and they'll make money off of it. You won't get none. You won't barely get crumbs unless you bend over for somebody, unless you get on your knees for somebody. But if you have not taken that hath not taken upon the mountains, hath not eaten upon the mountains, Salakia, neither hath lift up his eyes to the idols of the house of Israel, your white Jesus, your Muhammad, your Farrakhan's, Al Sharptons, your Christmas, your Santa Clauses, and hath not defiled his neighbor's wife, leave that man's woman alone, man. Chances are, don't quote me on this, I don't know what the stats are, what the scientific ratios might be, but chances are, and I'm willing to bet on this, chances are your brother is not going to shoot you in the face if you're not sleeping with his woman. Chances are, maybe that's a stretch for some people, but I'm willing to go on a little bit of faith here. The chances are you're not going to get run over by a car because you're dealing with a brother's wife. Just a shot in the dark. Verse 16, neither hath oppressed any, hath not, and again, hath oppressed any. That's not just talking about, fellow Israelites, but anybody, man. If you see a homeless Asian person, an African or whatnot, ain't no wrong giving them a couple bucks if you got it, if you're so inclined to. But damn sure you ain't supposed to oppress them, man. Things can turn out bad. Again, your blood is gonna be on your hands. Those situations, they go left real quick. But verse 16, neither hath oppressed any, hath not withholden pledge. And keeping your vow to the Most High, keeping your oath to your brothers and your sisters. Neither hath spoiled by violence, but hath given his bread to the hungry, and hath covered the naked with a garment. Verse 17, that hath taken off his hand from the poor, that hath not received usury nor increase, hath executed my judgments, hath walked in my statutes, he shall not die for the iniquity his father. It's like for the iniquity of his father, he shall surely live. So again, if you're not taking up after that influence of your father, you're not going to die. You're not going to suffer the iniquities of your father. Verse 18, as for his father, because he cruelly oppressed, spoiled his brother by violence, and did that which is not good among his people, lo, even he shall die in his iniquity. That blood's going to be upon him, man. And that's something that you gotta consider. Like he was talking about in verse 14. if you're watching all this, if you see that your father sins and you consider it and you don't do the same thing, you're not going to suffer what your father's going to suffer. You're not going to suffer the drug addiction that he's going to suffer. You're not going to suffer the extortion and a knife in the back, gunshot to the face, the shame of eating on that mountaintop. Things that come with that lifestyle. You ain't gonna have to suffer that. You gonna live. Your father's gonna die. That goes the same thing for your kids. If you set down that law for them, those expectations, those rules, and they choose to turn their back on and do something else, as much as you might love your son or your daughter, listen, Lord be with them. Because they are playing a very, very risky game, and their blood is going to be upon them. You can't save them, man. You can't save your father. You can't save your mother. You can't save your children. You can't save your brothers and sisters. You can teach them, though. They can get their own salvation by keeping, verse 17, by walking, or by executing the judgments, by walking in those statutes. You know what I'm saying? You can rest assured that you're not going to die for the iniquities of your fathers, for the iniquities of your brothers. It's like if you the guardian or something like that of a brother, or if you like the teacher of over a city, you got you built up your zone, whatnot, you built up your city, and you the teacher for them brothers and sisters. If you're teaching them wrong and they take that influence, listen, you all dying. You're gonna catch it even worse though, because you're the one who's supposed to teach them right. And they following your iniquities, man. That blood's gonna be on you. That blood's gonna be on them. That's just like it. There is, damn. It's like you, sir. If you are listening, that there's a precept about it's like how's it word? Like if you see the evil going on, but you don't say nothing about it, that blood is going to be upon you. Let me see if I can look it up real quick. Bear with me 1 second. We got a responsibility. We got a pledge that we need to restore to our people, to the Most High. And if we, turn our back on this, man, that this is literally the difference between life and death. And you got some people out there that don't take it into consideration, and they do the like. So let me see if I can find this. See if I can find this precept real quick. Looks like there's a couple of them here that might fit. Let's see what they say. Select it 1 second to put it in. All right, so Proverbs chapter 22, verse 3. A prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. So again, like you seeing it, and you just letting a brother who might not be as wise or knowledgeable as you, who might not have noticed the same thing, you just letting them go. Like you see that hole in the middle of the road there. The other brother or sister might not be paying attention to it, and you hide it yourself. You keep it to yourself. I mean, because they might not be aware of it. They take that plunge to the death, and they get punished for it. But there is a different one that I was thinking of. That's basically what this is saying. I mean, you can't say the ones that you love, and they can't save you. Get into the school near you, learn what the rules and regulations are for Israel, and follow suit. Don't don't be like our forefathers, commit all these abominations, and just because you're not dropping dead on the spot thinking you're getting away with it. The Most High is gonna remember that, and you will pay for that with your life. I mean, you're gonna shame yourself, you're gonna shame your family, you're gonna ruin your reputation, and everybody's gonna look at your kid like, he's gonna turn out just like his dad. He's gonna turn out just like his mom. When we have the opportunity to change the course of our people, we have the chance to destroy that 2/3 doctrine that you got some people out there preaching. We got that. We had the opportunity to change the Most High's mind about, destroying the people like that. But they have to be accepting of that change and take. I mean, it's a huge responsibility, and it's a very daunting task that a lot of people ain't really up for. Letting go of addictions, changing your past life. And you got some people out there who do, who, for whatever reason, are moved by the Spirit and decide they don't want they don't want that old life no more. And the changes that they make, the people recognize that, and that could inspire them to make the same change, because the drug addicts know that they don't want to be drug addicts. Now, after long enough abuse and exposure to it, it becomes habitual, more so than a want or a need. It's just something that you just end up doing, and now it's just so repetitive that's your life now. That hustle and that those rough waters, man. It's a crazy life to be involved in, and it's tiring, man. That world is exhausting. But you can be that influence for somebody else who you know what I'm saying. You can relate to them. You understand exactly what they're going through, and you understand what it takes to rise above it. And you won't die for the iniquity of your father. You're gonna live. You might help that brother or sister live. This kingdom don't come with observation alone. We got work to do. We got a lot of cities that don't have a school in it. We got a lot of brothers and sisters out there that are in danger of suffering like this. The abominations that they commit and the idol worship that they do. Eating on that mountain, spoiling by violence, lending upon usury, taking the increase. You know what I'm saying? We got a lot of work to do. And we keep going with these classes. So again, go to isupk.com. Scroll down to the contact page. You can find a school near you somewhere, even if you got to start off online. A lot of us started off online. There used to not be a school in the Midwest until some years ago. Captain Malquad put his life on hold. He had a wife and some children. Moved to Philly. Studied under the feet of them brothers out there in Philly. Went through Hebrew Academy. Stayed out there for like 3 years. Came back to an empty city. And then exploded on the Midwest, man. You know what I'm saying? Blew this area up. Raised up captains. Raised up officers. Now we got Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, Indianapolis, Missouri, Ohio, Illinois, Oklahoma, Texas, Mississippi, Kentucky, California, Washington. I think we got a school in Nevada, Canada, Brazil, Trinidad, Tobago, Puerto Rico, Mexico, Alaska. I believe we got a school in Alaska. At least there's some brothers out there, I think. The UK, Jamaica, Haiti. You know what I'm saying? All over. It used to just be in Philly. We did all of our classes online or over the phone. You got a lot of brothers that got ranked up, got the officership online. And then all of a sudden Chicago opened up. And it just, I mean, it came in like a flood. Now it's too far at this point. You can't stop what's happening. The righteous will be in authority, and the world's gonna be better off for it. They're gonna want to build that stable for my daughter's My Little Pony collection. They're gonna want to. They're gonna be so happy to do it because they want to live. They want to see their children live. You know what I'm saying? They don't want. No, nobody wants this life, this world. You know, the people that do are going to be destroyed with it. Eating, you know, they might have a good view eating up on that mountain. That mountain's gonna get crumbled, man. Everything's about to get burnt up. So I mean, you gotta hold on to the end. And let's pull that scripture too, because again, a lot of people, especially Christians, but you do have a lot of Israelites that, you know, you think that they would know better, but apparently they don't. You know, everybody wants to think that they're saved, and the blood of Jesus and whatnot. You know, covered by the blood of Jesus, he had, you know, washed away my sins. Especially if they believe in like the water baptism. Still don't have a field day with that. Matthew chapter 24, verse 13. But he that shall endure to the end, the same shall be saved. You got to endure till the end. That's the only way that you're going to know if you are saved, until that end time comes. Other than that, like you can't be for certain that you're going to make it into the kingdom. Might, you know, none of us might. Our whole generation, you know, might get washed away, get burnt up, you know, in that thermonuclear war. But again, we have the opportunity to petition the Most High to save Israel. You know, the 144,000 like that is coming through. That 2/3, they don't gotta die. And the Lord don't take you know, joy. And I'm paraphrasing this, but the Lord don't take joy in, you know, the destruction of the wicked. You know, that's talking about the Israelites, wicked Israelites. But we got work to do. So hold on, man. Stay strong. If you got a problem, you got an issue, you got a concern, call the school near you, get the counsel. Join these brothers, join these sisters, man. Cocoa Beach, Florida, like in about a month. April 15th, it's going down in Cocoa Beach, Florida, man. Brothers and sisters that we ain't seen for years, new brothers and sisters that came to the school that have never seen anything like this in their life. I am so excited for it. For the sister Marakapat, Dr. Mawa, I mean, I'm so excited, so happy and thrilled that you get to experience this with us. And it's gonna be crazy out there in Florida. So with that, stick with the classes. ISUPK.com. Scroll down to the donate now button. You can pay your tithes, make donations there. If you got the Zelle app, first name Israelite School, last name UPK. Email is tithes@isupk.com. You can make donations, pay your tithes there, just in the notes box. Just type in, you know, what it's for. Your Passover fee, which is $200 per 17-year-old and above. If it's just a priest fund donation, you know, which is not mandatory, any amount that you would like. Otherwise, pay your 10%. You know, if you go to the casino or something like that, and you know you don't lose all your money, and you come up a little bit, you got to pay your tithes off of that. You know, some people, you know, might not have gone that way for them, but it's you know, you always got another chance, I'm sure. But you know, get involved with the school near you. See what it is that you can offer. See what it is that you can do to contribute to your zone, to raise that up, to raise up your city, to raise up your state. If there are needs that you have, contact that school. You know, have that conversation with them. You know, talking about any concerns, questions, comments that you got. And with that, we're going to get back into these prayers and close out today's Sabbath service. So, imagine which means stand. I can fix this camera. Upon Yaakov's done, which means turn to face the east. Lord's Prayer in Hebrew. Again, you can find it in Matthew chapter 6, verses 8 through 13. Abanawa, Shabbat Shemayim, Kodash, Ayah, Shamkat, Yahweh, Malakutka, Taba'ah, Ratazaka, Ayah, Aisha, Ba'arataza, Kawak, Ayah, Bashamayim, Nathanawa, Lakam, Kal, Yawam, Wasalakanawa, Kabawatnawa, Kasalaknawa, Kabawatinawa, Wala'ah, Tabiyanawa, Banasawam, Abal, Awshanawa, Mayan, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Amalakwa, Wa'ala, Watapara, La'awalami, Aman. In English, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Yahweh, thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. So be it. Amen. Psalms 121 in the Hebrew. Asha'ah, Ayanya, Avahari, Mayan, Yaba'ah, Azaria, Ma'ayin, Yahweh, Aisha, Shemayim, Wa'aratazah, Al-Yatan, Lamawat, Regalka, Al-Yanawam, Shamarka, Hanat, La'at, Yanawam, Wala'at, Yayashan, Shawmar, Yasha'al, Yahweh, Shamarka, Yahweh, Kazalka, Al-Yad, Yamyanka, Yawamam, Ashamash, La'at, Yakaka, Wa'arak, Balayala, Yahweh, Yashamarka, Makorai, Yashamar, Atnapashka, Yahweh, Yashamar, Tazaatka, Wabuaka, Maita, Wai, Aulam. In English, I will lift up mine eyes into the hills, from whence cometh my help. My help cometh from the Lord, which made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is thy keeper. The Lord is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. The Lord shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in, from this time forth and even forevermore. Prayer for the power of God in Hebrew. Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, Baba Kushai, Nathan Lanawa, Pekat, La Rapa'ah, Call Makalah, or call Madawa, Pekat, La Tahar, Hamatazarium, Pekat, La Haquium, Hamathium, Pekat, Arakawat, Atamaala, Lagarshan, by Hashem Yahweh Shai, Tawad Aman. Like in English. Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, please give us the power to heal all manner of sickness and all manner of disease, the power to cleanse the lepers, the power to raise the dead, the power against unclean spirits, to cast them out. In the name of Yahweh Shai, thank you, so be it. Pray to bless Israel in the Hebrew. Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, Barak Lanawa, Wayah Sha'ala, Wabayah, Sapari, Barak, Rapa'ah, Magan, Hagan. At this time, you can say the name of the Lord once. Everyone repeats that name once. If you're still with us on social media, type in the name of the Lord, we'll send the prayers up with you. Israelite School UPK. All the brothers going through Hebrew Academy. UPK Minnesota. UPK Chicago. UPK Reds. UPK Milwaukee. All the generals, all the captains, all the officers, the troopers, the students, the brothers, the sisters, and the children. It's like it's at the house of Kanaga Bar too. I know that they just had a daughter at Kanaga Bar family, all UPK, Minnesota officers. Marakapat Yashikar. Tashamawa Bat Yashikar. Makabat El Court. Makabi Yawara. Marakapat Yashikar. Kawan Yala. All UPK Minnesota sisters. Annalie, Benjamin, Jamin, the McIntosh family, Raphael, Princess Shawashina. Sakis, is that your daughter name? I know I just saw the picture on her recently. Add to the princess. Kodaja Young, Tarap, Makabi, Kanakabal. By Shem Yahushua, throughout our month in English. Lord, in the name of Yahushua, bless us and Israel and the school. Bless, heal, shield, protect our loved ones. In the name of Yahushua, thank you, so be it. Psalms 83 in the Hebrew. Allahayim, Adam Yalaka, Alta Paras, Walta Sequa, All, Gaana, Awabika, Yaham Yawan, Raash, Al Amaka, Yaharuyamba, Sawada, Wayata Waitat Yaitazwa, Altazawapanyaka, Amarwa, Lakawa, Wanakakidam, Magalia, Malaaya Zaka, Shamya Shala, Awad, Kaya, Naitazwa, Laba, Yakadwa, Alyaka, Baryak, Yakaratwa, Ahalya, Arwan, Waya Shama Alayam, Mawaba, Wahagarian, Gabal, Waamwan, Waamalak, Padshat, Amyashabia, Tazawal, Gam Ashawal, Nalawak, Imam, Hayawak, Zarawak, Labanya Lawak, Salat, Aisha, Laham, Kamadian, Gasaya Sarat, Kayabian, Banachal, Guayashwan, Nashamadwa, Bayanda Arba, Hayawak, Daman, Ladama, Shatamu, Nadiyamawa, Kairab, Wakazaba, Wakazabak, Wakazalmanat, Kalnasakamu, Asha, Amarwa, Nairashat, Lanwa, At, Nawat, Alahayim, Alahayat, Shatamwa, Kagalgala, Kaquach, Lapanyural Ka, Kaach, Tabayri Iowa, Wakalahaba, Talahat, Aryam, Kantaradama, Basaraka, Wabasa Wapatka, Tablaham, Mala'a, Panyaham, Kualawan, Wayabakwashwa, Shamkat, Yahawa, Yabashwa, Waya, Bahalwa, Ariai, Waya, Khaparwa, Waya, Abadwa,
Waya Daiwa, Waya Bahalwa, Adi, Waya Kaparwa, Waya Abadwa, Waya Daiwa, Kaya Ata, Shamka, Yahweh, Labarka, Al Yawan, Al, Kar, Al Rataza. In English, keep not thy silence, O God, for not thy peace, and be not still, O God, for lo, thy enemies make tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. The tabernacles of Edom and the Ishmaelites, of Moab and Hagarians, Gebal and the Ammon and the Amalek and the Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre. Assur is also joined with them. They have hope in the children of Lot, Salah. Do unto them as unto the Midianites, as the Sisera, as the Jabin, at the brook of Kishon, which perished at Endor, that became as dung for the earth, and make their nobles like Oreb, and like Zeeb, yea, all the princes as Sabbath and as Zalmunna, who said, let us take to ourselves the houses of God in possession. O my God, make them like a wheel, as a stubble before the wind, as the fire burneth the wood, and as the flame set the mountains on fire, so persecute them with thy tempest, and make them afraid with thy storm, and fill their faces with shame, that they might seek thy name, O Lord. Let them be confounded in trouble forever. Yea, let them be put to shame and perish, that men may know that thou, whose name alone is Yahweh, art the Most High over all the earth. Blessed are you, Yahweh, King of heaven and earth, and all things living. Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, listen to us now, right now. Send evils and curses, and punishment and destruction to the heathen that speak against us, thy prophets, the teachers, the princes, the priests, the Israelite brothers, and the school. Send evils and curses, and punishment and destruction to the heathen, and shake loose the treasure of the rich of Israel that refuse to give to the school, and force their riches to enter into thy sanctuary. Send evils and curses, and punishment and destruction to the Edomites, and the nations, and their drug dealers, the court system, the prison system, Planned Parenthood, all the governments of our enemies, Amalek synagogues and armies, Roman Catholic Church, the Pope, Islam, Christianity, Egyptology, militia, Ku Klux Klan, Aryan Nation, skinheads, Posse Comitazi, the gay movement, the lesbian movement, spies, workers of witchcraft, NASA space programs, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Wall Street, open up the internet and the airwaves, cable access channels, and the radio channels. Convict the spirit of any of thy people that seek to stop us and bring swift destruction to all the heathen that stand in the way or try to stop us from broadcasting your words throughout the planet Earth. Let loose all the plagues, cause them to go to and fro through the earth and consume them. Let the plague shake the house of the thief and the murderer. Let Yahweh Shai, Michael and Gabriel come down with the flying saucers and punish all the heathens that come up against us as we speak thy word. Cause it to be known by all that is the angels that have done it. Cause it to be spread through the media throughout the whole world. Cause them to shake it that coming. In the name of Yahweh Shai, thank you always. So be it. So that concludes our Sabbath service. Y'all Bashim Yahshua thumb to the brothers. Y'all Shemar Latam Bashim Yahshua to the sisters.
Dismissed.